I've been checking out Twitter for the past couple of weeks, and these are some of the biggest updates that are going to tell you exactly how the situation is going to proceed with the visa slots. This is valid for almost every visa type: F-1, J-1, M-1, H-1B, H-4, all of their dependents, of course, F-1 dependents, etc. etc. These are also valid for B-1, B-2 applicants and the L visa type applicants. So make sure that you are paying attention for the next couple of minutes, because these are the biggest 5 updates that are coming in your direction from the US visa consulates. As per the consulate officers on the official US Embassy's page on Twitter, what we have gathered, number one, is that tens of thousands of appointments have to open in the next couple of weeks. So upcoming weeks, it can open anytime. They did not mention a date, they did not mention a time. Last year, similar situation, but they did mention a date and time. This year, nothing like that. So it is important that we're keeping an eye out 24/7. Very important, guys. And I'll tell you from our experiences over here, our experiences that bulk openings generally happen during the day or during the evening as per IST timings. This is for the Indian consulates, guys, and for the Bangladeshi, Nepali, and Sri Lankan consulates. All of you guys watching this is relevant to you guys as well. Okay, but especially for the Indian consulates, first-hand experience, we do a lot of research, we do a lot of experimentation, and these bulk openings generally always happen during the day, in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, or sometimes in the night, but usually never after 1 a.m. in the night. Alright, so again, that's not to say that an opening cannot happen after 3-4 a.m. in the night. That can still happen, but that's basically our experience speaking. So based on that, you can take that, of course, with a grain of salt. Now, in case, first off, before we move on to the next points, in case you need any help with your slot monitoring, we do that 24/7, and we manage hundreds of accounts, so we can actually afford to do that for you guys, even with all the 12-click limitations, max limits, and making sure that that 72-hour ban does not happen. If you're interested, you can take a look at the YMGrad.com website. You can go to the services section, just to the visa application help service, and this will basically cover everything you need. This video is about the US, so these are the pointers. It covers everything you will ever need in a singular package, and we guarantee success. Otherwise, we offer it to you again for no charges. So that's generally how it works. If you'd be interested, you can take a look at it. Otherwise, if you're doing the process by your own as well, please make sure that you listen to these next 4 updates, which are very, very important. Point number 2 is that you must request an appointment early as per the consulate officers. This is important because in case you're not doing that, the officers mentioned that you may not be actually able to make it in time for your program start date for the students, for your program start date for the B-1, B-2 ones as well, in case you have a program, or for your job start date for basically the H-1Bs, right? So it is very important that you're following closely and you have a little bit of time. A lot of people come to me at the last moment. They say, look, we want a slot this month or something like that. I simply don't onboard them. The reason is because we already know that opening for this month were basically happening when it was basically 2 months back, and you're late in the process. So we don't want to onboard you unless we know that we can help you. And hence, I'm not saying openings may not happen this month. They can happen, but the chances may be very, very low. Hence, we do not want to onboard anyone like that. So be realistic in your expectations. If you have started right now, expect that your process may take 2 to 3 months. Sometimes it can happen within 20-30 days as well, but if that's happening, you're really lucky in most senses, right? It doesn't happen for every case, and it's important that you understand that. Point number 3, now the visa officer did not actually say this explicitly, but she was inching towards it a lot. So please make sure that you understand this carefully. And she said cancelled appointments can actually result in emergency appointment rejections, and that really isn't something that was explicitly mentioned. It's really that you have to extrapolate, and you have to understand that, hey, look, don't cancel perfectly good appointments, because if you do, chances are you may not be able to make it to your program start date or during the date that you need to travel. So that's essentially what she said. Because of course, in your account, there's an appointment history, and the consulate officers can actually take a look at that history. Oh, this person had an appointment for, let's say, 15th of May, and they canceled it and they filed for emergency, even though their intended date of travel was 30th of May, right? You may be looking for a slot just 3-4 days before, or maybe you have some travel plans. You're not able to make it on the 15th of May. My recommendation, cancel those travel plans. My recommendation is do not take this lightly. It's very important. If you have a slot, or if you're thinking I'll cancel it and my friend will get it or something like that, it doesn't work like that. It goes back to the pool. All right. And secondly, don't cancel good appointments, because if you're doing that just for the sake of getting an early appointment, like 15-20 day gap or something of that sort, don't do it. It's not worth it. Most cases, they are going to cancel your emergency request. So don't do that. Point number 4, very important, and the officers have been kind of pushing that out. This essentially, this update, they have been trying to push that out as much as possible. The update is again to remember the Dropbox cases. A lot of you guys who are eligible for Dropbox now, if you've held any type of visa before, right? Earlier, what used to happen is if you had a B-1, B-2 visa, you could get a Dropbox case for B-1, B-2 and B-1, B-2 only. But this year, what they're saying is, look, until at the end of this year, if you had any kind of visa before and you're going for a non-immigrant travel visa, right? And this doesn't, of course, include every single visa type. The exceptions do apply, but in a lot of cases you can switch. Like from B1 B2 you can go to the F1 visa, from B1 B2 you can go to the H-1B visa, you can go to the O1 visa. You don't have to basically have a consular appointment for that. You just can go for the Dropbox process in that, right? So you could have any visa type previously and you can go for any other visa type essentially right now in the Dropbox process. Now this is not 100% true either, because we have seen some cases where people were not really eligible for the Dropbox appointments. Let me just tell you about that one particular case that we saw essentially, right? So let's say that you are someone who had an F-1 visa in the past, right? And now you want to go for a tourism visa, B-1, B-2 visa, B-2 visa essentially, right? You want to go for that, you're not eligible for Dropbox. So it's not essentially the same. They're saying it, but it's not as advertised. There is, of course, an asterisk next to it. If you've had any particular visa type in the past, can you go for any visa type right now? The answer may be no, because exceptions do apply. But for most cases, it is still true. So please make sure that you understand this bit. It is very, very important. Again, if you need help understanding your eligibility, I've actually made a detailed video on that, and I'll link that in the I button right about now, and it'll explain exactly what the eligibility is, what are the cases, what kind of people are eligible, etc, etc. But at the same point of time, please make sure that you do consult an expert in case you're not really sure. For instance, we would actually be able to tell you if your case is eligible for Dropbox or not, because we've dealt with thousands of cases up till now. And in case you'd like to get my help, you can always reach out to me on Instagram or my WhatsApp, which will be in the description. Finally, point number 5 is to remember the vaccination requirements, and I'll say this out loud. This is majorly for the students and the working visa types out there, not really for every visa type, but yes, especially for the FMJ visa types, right? All of you guys who are students, interns, or going for a short program, etc., you guys should be vaccinated. It's as good as a mandate as of now. Unless you want trouble in your process, go ahead, get vaccinated. Which vaccinations to take, etc, etc. I've made a whole video on that. Which ones are the approved ones, right? Which ones are CDC, WHO approved, all of that, and you can find that video on my YouTube again. But again, very important that you understand the requirements over here and you're vaccinated with 2 doses. I'm not saying 1 dose, remember? I'm not talking about Johnson & Johnson over here. I'm talking about 2 doses of vaccines you should have, okay? Very important. All right, guys, those are the biggest visa updates of this last week, and we've been doing a lot of monitoring. We've been checking these slots all the time. You do not need to worry. We'll be updating you as soon as we see a mass opening. Remember, tens of thousands of slots, as promised, will be opening, so you want to be as active as possible during that time. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel for regular updates, and make sure to follow me on Instagram, where I can update you even faster, even about the tiniest of updates out there. Thank you and goodbye for now.